Welcome to SVG-TV News, Tuesday, November 1st, 2016. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. Calico will become a shining star of development for SVG. That's according to Area Representative Camilo Gonçalves, as the Japanese handed over today fishery equipment and machinery inclusive of 2 trucks and a cold storage facility as part of a grant aid program to the government of SVG for use at the Calico Fisheries Center. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, Minister Gonçalves noted that the Calico Fisheries Center has undergone several upgrades since its construction in 1997 and that the donation today, particularly that of a chill room, is of great significance as it would vastly improve the storage capacity for fishermen in the Calico area. Minister Gonçalves adds that the Ministry of Economic Planning, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, are working closely not only to implement projects in the community, but also to introduce sustainable and conservational measures which would transform Calico into a center of growth and production in the fisheries sector.
We have coastal protection measures in place to protect against erosion, to make sure that the reef is healthy and is preserved in a manner that can benefit future generations, to make sure that hotels and hoteliers expand in a responsible manner and an environmentally responsible manner. So we're going to manage grey water and the way that they dispose of their waste. We have plans in place for the 2 rivers that bracket this particular area where we've had some stagnating water because of deposits of silt at the mouth of the rivers. And all of this is part and parcel of a larger plan to make this Calico area and to make East St. George a real center for growth and production and quality services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar thanked the people and government of Japan for their continued contributions to the development of SVG's fisheries sector and considered the refurbishing of fisheries facilities across the nation as an important pillar in the advancement of that sector. While stressing the need to harness the potential of SVG's aquatic resources in a sustainable manner, Caesar called on the youth of SVG to capitalize on the opportunities which become available due to such projects.
I want to advance a challenge to the young persons who are here listening, the young persons who are following us by radio, whether you're at home or in the diaspora. Significant opportunities are being created in this blessed country. But our young people, we have to keep a focus on these opportunities. It's one thing to go and get a bachelor's degree or master's degree or even a PhD, but we have to be practical in our circumstances and apply our knowledge to hard and diligent work targeted at enhancing the productive base of our country.
Meanwhile, Japanese Ambassador Mitsuhiko Okada says he considers it an honor to partner with the government of SVG to help develop the country's fisheries sector.
Like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Japan also has a robust fisheries sector, so the government of Japan recognizes the importance of the fisheries industry to your economy. I am confident that the equipment procured through this grant will help strengthen your fisheries sector and also help further develop the economy of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take this opportunity to point out that fisheries sector cooperation between our 2 countries is not limited to the provision of equipment. Japan and St. Vincent and the Grenadines share common values such as the rule of law and the sustainable use of living marine resources. In this regard, Japan highly appreciates the valuable cooperation that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has long been extending to Japan in IWC matters.
The government of SVG will be imposing a ban on the hunting of turtle meat and eggs. This was revealed by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at the handing over ceremony earlier today at the Calico Fisheries Center of Fisheries Equipment donated by the government of Japan. Prime Minister Gonsalves told the gathering there have been several special challenges facing 2 of the 4 turtle species found in the waters of SVG, and announced that there would be a ban on hunting turtles effective January 1st, 2017.
I want to say, and I'll make this announcement because Cabinet has already decided, that as of January the 1st, in keeping with the mantra, no extinction in our generation, that we are imposing a complete ban on the hunting and killing of turtles and also of the eggs. In fact, already there's a project which is being devised for turtle watching.
Prime Minister Gonsalves, however, gave the assurance to the Japanese delegation that the ban does not extend to traditional whaling, but merely forms a part of a thrust by the government of SVG to utilize the marine resources in a sustainable manner.
We are not talking about, Your Excellencies, of banning traditional whaling. But I just want to point out that we have our work to do many innovative things and to educate the whole world in relation to the sustainable use of our marine resources, including in relation whaling and on a scientific basis. And I know that you will help us in those respects and work with us properly. And I'm sure that you will help us to have sustainable livelihoods in whaling, even away from traditional whaling.
And Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Saboto Caesar called on technicians, particularly those in the fisheries sector, to focus more on their technical work. Caesar explains that technicians in the ministry have become bogged down with administrative work and they need to focus more on harnessing their skills.
A lot of hours, man hours, doing administrative work that are totally non-technical. It is a misfit, and it is something that we have to work on. The Chief Agriculture Officer must spend more time doing technical work in agriculture. The Director of Forestry must find more hours to do technical work as it pertains to research on the forest. And we have to ensure that we provide our Chief Fisheries Officer the administrative assistance so that we can have a greater focus in the entire fisheries department on technical issues for the advancement of production and productivity and the implementation of these excellent policies by this government.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is among the government ministries and agencies that will benefit from a donation of industrial equipment through the Japan Nonprofit Grant Aid Project, valued at approximately $1 million. The items were officially handed over at a ceremony on Monday at NEMO's headquarters. We hear more in this report from Nikita Tony.
In continuation of their strong diplomatic ties, which were established in April 1980, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has once again benefited from a donation from the government of Japan through its Japan Grant Aid Project, which will facilitate infrastructural development here in SVG. Speaking at a handing over ceremony on Monday afternoon, October 31, 2016, at the headquarters of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sir Louis Straker, noted that SVG has benefited greatly through the active and pragmatic diplomatic ties which exist between both nations. Noting that the equipment will aid in the enhancement of the country's disaster response efforts, Sir Louis expressed his gratitude to the government of Japan for seeing it fit to invest in small island developing states.
That we have been working closely with Japan, and Japan has been providing a lot of help to us in various sectors of our economy. We are extremely grateful to Japan, and we shall continue to have an outreach foreign policy, working in close collaboration with you. We trust that we would continue this friendship, that it would grow stronger from a government to government and more from a people to a people relationship.
Outlining that the equipment will also aid in the overall development of the Vincentian economy, Japan's non-resident ambassador to SVG, Michihiko Okada, noted that his government is pleased to offer its support and experience to other nations as they enhance their response to natural hazards.
Through this grant, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been able to procure Japanese industrial products valued at about $1 million. In 2014, our two governments signed the exchange of notes for this grant, and over the past 2 years, items such as command vehicles, first aid kits, and wheelchairs have been acquired for local use by various organizations, including the National Emergency Management Organization and NEMO. I believe these products manufactured in Eastern Japan will benefit the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Thanking the government of SVG and Japan for seeing it fit to embark on such an initiative, Acting Commissioner of Police Ronald Hathaway noted that his organization will benefit greatly from the donation of a command vehicle for their overall operations.
In times of those, whenever those situations present itself to us, we can be more efficient in our execution and presentation to you, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is of utmost importance that we take that in mind while we utilize this equipment to the benefit of our people. And we must ensure that utmost care is taken as we move across the length and breadth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to deliver the service whenever the need arises.
Valued at approximately $1 million, the government of SVG has received 5 units of high-powered vacuum cleaners, 75 wheelchairs, 25 of which are specialized, 50 fold-up chairs, 7 digital cameras, 4 autoclaves, and 2 mobile command centers, as well as other first aid materials. It is also expected that by 2018, the government, through the same grant, will receive 2 safety loader trucks, which will aid in heavy lifting during emergency situations. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Education Minister St. Clair Jimmy Prince is urging parents of the Fitzhugh Government School students to make their children the first priority and to give the newly appointed principal a fair chance. The minister's comments come on the heels of a recent short-lived protest where some parents were expressing their disapproval of the newly appointed principal, Myrtle Richards. Reports are that some parents went as far as refusing to send their children to school, demanding another qualified teacher, Mishanda Tucker, be appointed to the principal position. While it is alleged that the protest may have been fueled by political intentions, Minister Prince is of the opinion that the affairs are misplaced and urged parents to cooperate with the new principal in the interests of their children. According to the Education Minister, Principal Richards, who is also a resident of the North Leeward constituency, has been appointed by the Service Commissions Department and has a wealth of experience, having been in the system for over 20 years. Noting that the crime situation in the country is a growing concern for his administration, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said the government and national security forces alone cannot sufficiently address the issue. During his National Independence Address last Thursday, the Prime Minister stressed the need for persons to realize that the issue of crime can only be dealt with through a societal and united approach.
Undoubtedly, we are pained and anguished at the blight of violence, crime, perpetrated largely through the use and misuse of guns and bullets by a small group of young men. This affects not only the victims and their families, but all of us in this small geographic space called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Clearly, the solution to criminal violence is not a matter only for the government and the police force. All hands must be on deck, including centrally all the institutions of the state, the family, the schools, the churches, the media, the political parties, the non-governmental groups, and the communities themselves.
On the heels of stating that additional persons will soon be recruited to the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force as well as the Fire and Coast Guard services, the Prime Minister further added that amidst challenges linked to the issue of crime, St. Vincent and the Grenadines remains a safe country.
And citizen security, though challenged, is sound. Overwhelmingly, our people of all ages, sex and social condition are law-abiding, peaceful and good-natured. And the violent criminals are given no supportive space in our communities, save and except from a few criminally connected persons. My government is determined to root out the small pockets of the criminally minded in our midst, the criminally violent. We are all together in this.
And opposition leader and president of the New Democratic Party, the NDP, Arnim Eustace, has called for a more thorough dispensation of justice, particularly as it relates to women and rape. Eustace made the comments on radio on Monday in light of the claims against the party's radio talk show host Igal Adams, who was arrested on Friday, 28 October and released without charge the next day on Saturday, 29th, on an allegation of sexual intercourse with a minor. Eustace called for a full investigation into the matter and reiterated that Vincentian women and girls must see justice carried out fairly to have confidence in the justice system.
We need to be very careful as to how we dispose of matters of this nature. Vincentian women are concerned about this issue of rape. The United Nations has expressed in its figures great concern in relation to rape in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we more than express the concern. We in this country must stand firm against rape and sexual assault in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Must stand firm against it.
Adams made the decision to step aside from host of the NDP's New Times radio program until the investigation is complete and called on the authorities to ensure that the matter is fairly and speedily dealt with. A number of business houses in the Camden Park area were reportedly burglarized last evening. According to information received, the business houses targeted include East Caribbean Metals Industries, or ECML, St. Vincent Bottlers, and Nemo's mobile station. Reports are that 45-year-old female security officer at ECML, Eugene Gordon, was shot in the stomach after being approached by two armed suspects. Gordon underwent surgery earlier today and is said to be in stable condition at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. The police told SVG-TV News that they have two men in custody assisting with the investigations. Firefighters tried feverishly earlier today to save two wooden dwelling houses at Long Wall, but were unable to do so. According to Station Sergeant John Henry of the fire department, around 1 p.m. this afternoon, a fire engulfed a property where Esther Rollins lived and then spread to a nearby residence occupied by the Simmons family. Station Sergeant Henry explained that no one was injured. However, they are investigating the cause of the fire. He pointed out that they had to barricade the Longwall Road area to ensure that the area was safe for road users.
Met house already engulfed in fire. It was what we call a fully developed fire. We tried to extinguish it, but we had to do what we call a water shuttle because there's no hydrant around here. So the result of that, the fire spread to the next house which was close by. That is because the wind which is blowing upwards, it blew the it's blew the fire onto the other house. And well, both houses caught fire, and both houses eventually was destroyed by the fire. But we eventually, what we're doing now is mopping up. Basically mopping up what is left here.
Any lives lost?
No lives were lost in the fire. Yes, the 2 houses was destroyed. 2 houses were destroyed. No lives were lost.
Do you know what the cause of the fire was?
Not as yet. We would have to carry out investigation to the cause of the fire. But
anyone was at home at the time?
That is what we do not have know as yet. We have to, question homeowners to find out if anyone was at home at the time. But as soon as we finish extinguishing the fire, we would draw inquiries to find out what is the cause and if anyone was at home at the time. But we don't know that as yet.
Neighbor Alison Rodriguez said she realized that her house was threatened and tried dousing it with water to prevent the fire from catching on.
Well, actually, when I was in the house today, I eat something first, and then after, when I came outside, I saw the smoke. Then after, I rushed round to the back, trying to save the house before mine. And then after, I couldn't sit. My son said, "Oh, mommy, you can't do nothing else to the house." So then after, I start wetting the one where we was living, and that's it. And then after, the police then came, and then they tried to save the other one.
And Member of Parliament for East Kingstown, Arnim Eustace, and Minister of Health and the Environment, Luke Brown, expressed regret at the destruction of the houses and concern for the families who are now homeless.
Standing up with those persons protesting the front line, and then somebody shouted at us saying there's a fire at Longwall. So he came out in the street in front of Copperstone Hill, and he looked up, and I recognized the house right away because the lady who lived there for many years and who now lives part of the time in England, it's called Cass. She was there. I said, "That's Cass' house." So I just drove, came around King Garden, and came down here to see what is happening. I'm very happy that nobody is injured, but there's also property. But I think everything will work out all right.
Yeah, this is a regrettable situation. The circumstances of the fire and the details, I'm sure, will be investigated. It's always very difficult when families have to adjust themselves to this kind of reality. I'm hoping that the disruption will be minimal and the cause of fire would be determined conclusively, and we could take action on the basis of those results.